Hey everybody, welcome to the Warp. I'm Jack Rita, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 8 aliens that you might consider putting in the game um, around this Halloween if you're going to do what I would call a horror movie fest of aliens. And so I've picked out 8 aliens that their names are also the names of horror movies that I don't feel terrible recommending that you also watch. And so we're going to do both. We're going to talk about the alien. We're going to talk about the movie as well. So let's dive in. Our first one is Alien. So this is probably come as a shock to nobody. So this is an essence alien. This is from Cosmic Eons. It is the power to traumatize. So what Alien does is it has these essence cards that are called traumas. And so at the start of another player's turn, you can capture one of their ships. You're abducting one of their ships from any colony where they have at least 2. So you're not stripping a colony. And you're going to choose one of your traumas from your cache. And all Essence Aliens will have a cache of 3 Essence cards at any given time. And you'll place it next to their sheet, face down, with the captured ship on top of it. And, you cannot hold more than one of each player's ships captive at a time. So you're going to have to do something about it by the time it's that player's turn again. So they're captured and they are currently undergoing some trauma, but the player doesn't know what it is. Now, when you are not the offense, before the encounter cards are selected, you may use this power to release one or both main player's ships that you have captured, and they join the encounter, even if it goes beyond the gate limits, if that is the case. And the trauma card is placed face down, unseen, near the player. And when the player with the trauma reveals an encounter card, they also have to reveal the trauma and carry out its effects. And so it's some of them are actually pretty good, but most of them are not great. And yeah, you know what? Let's jump over here, and we're gonna search this for some essence cards, if there are any in here. Oh no, they're right here. I don't even have to search them. So here is the alien. And we're going to look at some of these traumas. So here, hallucinations, your opponent may exchange their revealed encounter card with one from their hand. So that's actually probably pretty good. Here, depression, their attack card is a 0. That's probably not good. Hearing voices, if all other players can unanimously agree, they may update your reality in one of the following ways: sending one of your colonies to the warp, discarding half of your cards at random, or giving you some cards. And that's you, as in the player, revealing this trauma. Nervous breakdown, you just lose the encounter, collect no compensation. So yeah, as you can see, it's a mixed bag. And so as the alien player, you are trying to, plan ahead for what sorts of things you want to do to a player later on. So if we go over to here, Alien, 1979, this is a seminal film. Just a terrific start to a mostly good franchise of films. Alien is a classic. I think it's great. I think that the sequel is just a tiny bit better, but they're also not really the same genre. This is a horror sci-fi. It's definitely horror. The other one's more of action sci-fi, not quite as horror. Aliens. And recently, Alien Romulus came out. I enjoyed that. And it's not perfect. I would say it's the 3rd best out of all of the Alien movies. But there's going to be a sequel, which is great, so potentially. And I just love the Alien. So I definitely recommend, giving this a watch if you haven't seen it, or watch it again if you haven't seen it in a while, or watch some other Alien movie in the franchise. All right, our next alien for Scary Movie Night is Mimic. So this is a really good alien. It's one that I helped to design. Cosmic Conflict. As a main player, before encounter cards are selected, use this power. If your opponent has more cards than you, you're going to draw from the deck till you have the same many. And if they have fewer, you're going to discard down to what they have. So it's a really good hand management alien. Sometimes that works against you, but mostly it's going to work for you. So a really good alien. I really enjoy having this one in the game. I love the art here too. It's one of the a series of let's add loser to what's going on. And so if we go here, Mimic. So now this was like Guillermo del Toro's first English language movie. This is not a great movie. Let's be clear, but it's pretty good. And it's as good as it was when it came out in '97. It also started a franchise not nearly as good as the Alien one. Now there is a director's cut of Mimic, which is slightly better. So if you have the opportunity to see the director's cut, I recommend that one over the original one. It's not wildly different, but we're looking for making it as much better as we can. It had a great trailer, and so I was very excited to see this, but it just didn't quite come together as a movie. Still, not bad. It's got some good tension, some good scares, some very creepy makeup effects. The mimic itself is pretty good. So not a bad recommendation. Not every one of these aliens is going to be a hit movie as well. Moving along, we now have Witch. So this is another Essence alien, but this one's from Cosmic Odyssey. So this one has some curse cards. So as a main player or ally, after you lose an encounter, you can curse one or more opposing players, as long as they don't already have a curse. And these are different from the other Essence cards. So with the trauma, you don't know what it is. Here you do know what it is. But each regroup, you have to basically put one of your ships, or you certainly don't have to, but you're going to have the effect of the curse for as long as that card's in front of you. And it's going to have a number on it. And if we go over here, this one probably is in the box. So why don't we jump in here? And there we go. So there are the curses. So if we flip this over here, you cannot win the game as long as you have this curse. And that's how many ships each regroup. You got to put one ship out, and once you've gotten the 3 ships out there, those ships are going to go to the warp, and then the curse goes away. Here is you cannot become an ally or invite allies, and so that's pretty rough. Here you have to discard artifacts that you have. And if you gain any, you have to discard them until you get rid of that curse. Same thing with, you just can't play non-encounter cards. This one is 4. So as a main player, you must reveal the attack card in your hand that has the highest value. So everyone's going to know that, 12, that's the best card that you've got in there. So that's the Witch. Very insidious. And there's no alien called Insidious. Otherwise, that might have been on this list. But The Witch, this was early Anya Taylor-Joy film. Really good, very creepy film about a 17th century Puritan family, and they leave the comforts and confines of the village to kind of strike out on their own in a more secluded part of the wilderness, but they're pretty close to where there's a coven. And just really bad things happen. So good. It's a really good Halloween time of year movie to watch, and just kind of creepy. You're not really sure what's going to happen or how things are going to manifest, but good times were had by nobody in that movie except maybe one character. So moving along, we have Sting. This is from Cosmic Alliance. And so you're substituting. Each time you lose ships to the warp, you can designate another player to lose half of those ships instead, and then you return half of your lost ships to your colonies. So it's like kind of like a little bit of zombie and a little bit of vacuum, but you're going to that player is going to draw a card from your hand for each ship that they lost. And so there's a little bit of a sting for you as well. So this is a tricky alien. It's not an obviously great one, but if you've got a lot of garbage cards in your hand, it's also a good way to get rid of those as well. So it's, you're playing it smart, because you may do this. You don't always have to do it. And it's a nice way to keep your ship resources when you need them, and then potentially sting other players by forcing somebody who is hurting for ships to really suffer. And I recently watched this movie, Sting. So it's about a giant spider, and we know that spiders don't actually sting, but it makes sense when you watch this. And starts off as a very small spider, but it gets bigger. This was a good time. I really enjoyed this movie. It features very young Furiosa. So we have 2 Furiosa actors in on our list here, and that was pure coincidence. But yeah, I enjoyed this. It had some good thrills. It had some funny moments, and yeah, the effects were good. I enjoyed it. It was just a good time for me. And I don't love spiders, but yeah, I do like spider movies. All right, our next one is Relic. So this is from Conflict, and this is anytime any player draws a new hand, you're going to get a free colony. And so that's what's interesting. There is we've got Mimic, which might be shedding cards. So somebody might be drawing a new hand more often, and Sting might be drawing a new hand a little more frequently. And then some of these curses players are maybe losing cards, so they might be drawing a new hand. So this is a nice little extra thing in there. And anytime you draw a new hand, you get to retrieve all of your ships from the warp. So that's what's kind of fun about that. And so if we look at the Relic was from '97. This is Tom Sizemore and Penelope Ann Miller. This is it's a little bit on the silly side, but it's got a really fun monster. I love creature features, and I think that this is a pretty good one. It all takes place in this Chicago Museum of History, I think a natural history. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a mystery that they're trying to figure out, and it's pretty interesting the way it all comes together. But just a pretty cool monster. So I recommend that you check out Relic if you haven't seen it. It's a good popcorn flick. All right, next we have Void, and I've chosen the Void from Cosmic Odyssey. It's the Alta Timeline Void because I think it's a little bit scarier. It doesn't have the clause about you can't keep voiding somebody if they can't win the game. Here you can, but it gets around that because you can return ships from the void as part of a deal. And I think anything that encourages deals, I like. So when you're a main player or ally, that's the other difference here is that the original void only works as a main player. Here, you all ships that would be sent to the warp are instead captured and you put on your sheet. And so that is pretty scary, and I wanted Void to be as scary as everyone expects it to be when they first jump in. And so The Void movie from 2016, it's a really well done, low budget, but they did a heck of a lot with the budget that they had. It's one of the better Lovecraftian sorts of movies out there. There's you always have these lists of the 20 best Lovecraftian movies, and it's like 20 out of what, 22? Because most of them are terrible. But this one is really well done and very earnestly made. And so I really appreciate that. Just good performances. The script is pretty good. And you really, it's something that I don't think most people fully appreciate everything the first time because it does this really good job of the cosmic horror element. Especially with this notion of the space between the worlds and blurring the line, and so it doesn't really spell everything out. You have to kind of piece it together what's going on. But it's good. Yeah, it's creepy and intense, and I really enjoy The Void. So enjoy that yourself. Next, we have Grudge. This is from the base game. This is punishing people for not allying, and you hand out the Grudge tokens when. And then they're going to lose. They're going to lose some amount of ships if you win, and some amount if you lose, and it's really painful, and it's really wonderful, and pretty straightforward. This is a classic one; it's been around forever. So yeah, and there's a lot of Grudge movies to choose from. I think this is one of the better ones here. This is the English, the American remake. It was still directed by the same director, and so a lot of times everyone's like, the original was better. The original is good. It is very well done, but I feel like Takashi Shimizu learned some lessons from the first time, and he had a little bit bigger budget, and yeah, I love the mix of there's American characters and Japanese characters, and some of it's in Japanese, some of it's in English. It's really good. What I think makes this really scary is that it's told kind of non-linearly, and you really don't have any understanding of what might happen at any given time. And there's a lot of like really scary daytime stuff, which is not Typical. So I recommend The Grudge. The remake, there was another remake that was not very good. And there's many Grudge sequels, and there's diminishing returns. But, if you like The Grudge, you'll probably enjoy or find something to enjoy about a lot of the other Grudges as well. And certainly check out Juan, which is the original Grudge. That's worth your time as well, but it's very similar. And there you have it. And then our final alien is Phantasm. Now, this is my kind of alternate timeline version of it, so it's not exactly the same, but Phantasm is from Cosmic Storm. So as a main player, after encounter cards are revealed, if both are not negotiates, use this power to reveal the top card of the deck. And then if it is not an encounter card, discard it. But if it is, you're going to replace either main player's revealed encounter card. And the difference here is that I didn't like that Phantasm couldn't purposely get into a deal situation. So they were kind of like, oh, we're in a deal situation, but now we're screwed. Or at least that's how it felt. So this is a slight change, but, play it however you want. But I think this is a pretty good alien. This thing is one of the better aliens in Storm. I really enjoy it. And, it's one that's going to really kind of turn all these other aliens on their ear a little bit. And then, of course, we get to Phantasm. But I actually recommend Phantasm 2. They had a much bigger budget with Phantasm 2 than they did in Phantasm. Phantasm, perfectly good, low-budget horror movie. Phantasm 2, it sort of summarizes everything that happened, so you don't feel like. And I actually saw Phantasm 2 before I saw Phantasm, and I didn't feel like I was any worse off. But this is a much better production. It's the best one. There have been many Phantasm movies, and most of them are quite awful. The first one is pretty good, especially considering, very low budget movie, but a very original idea. But 2 was much better done. Had some better actors. Reggie Bannister is what it is. He's good for a laugh. It's just it's creepy. And part of it's another one of the things, like, you just don't know what the rules are. Like, anything could happen at any time, and you just no idea. And that's what makes it tense. But the flying balls that drill into your head are great. Just a wonderfully imaginative idea. I recommend it. Check out Phantasm 2. It's a good entry point, or watch the first one, then watch the second one. And there you have it. This is my lineup for a scary movie batch of aliens. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and let me know if you are going to put a game together. I probably won't be 8P, pick and choose from these. There were a lot of others. There are a lot of other aliens that have, that there have been horror movies made. There's quite a few, zombie, obviously. There's a movie called Parasite. There's one called Virus, which is also quite terrible. So I tried to stick to some that I wouldn't mind watching, and I may watch some of these now that I've been talking about them. But let me know your thoughts and your recommendations. What might you have replaced with a different alien that is also a horror movie? That's it for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.